Well, foster parents gathered in Rockford Wednesday to share their experiences parenting. WIFR's Miriam Niesmeyer talks with a parent and child advocates who say there's always a need for more foster families.
Foster parents say fostering is not always easy, but say creating a safe and stable environment for a child can make a lifelong impact. I talked with foster parent Mark Westfall, who says helping children through some of their hardest moments of their lives has changed his own for the better.
They're ripped out of their homes. They're put in a stranger's place. They have a lot to get used to.
Mark Westfall understands the impact for children entering foster care. Life can change overnight.
They have a new environment, new people, new rules, new things, new school.
Westfall adopted his first son in 2019, then his second child in 2023, and currently fosters.
I do not regret any moment. That the challenging parts, the great parts, the sad parts.
Westfall says many children entering foster care face trauma, fear, and often struggle with drugs and self-harm.
Seeing these kids just fall apart in front of you is the most heartbreaking and heart-wrenching thing. You know, sometimes the kiddos that we care for, they just need an extra amount of help.
Wednesday night, Lutheran Social Services of Illinois hosted a discussion at Nordlof Theater for foster parents to share their personal experiences.
I would not change this experience for the world.
According to the nonprofit, nearly 16,000 children across Illinois rely on foster families for safety and stability.
Our approach is each child is unique and an individual. They're going to have their own individual needs, their own individual stories.
The goal of foster care is to reunite children with their families.
See them thrive and move forward and then get them home to their parents, or if that's not possible, bring them into your family. And I've got to do that 2 times, and it's the most incredible thing.
The organization says its Rockford office works with roughly 180 foster homes, caring for around 200 children across Winnebago, Boone, and Stevenson counties.
And if you're interested in becoming a foster parent, you can contact Lutheran Social Services of Illinois' Rockford office to learn more about the licensing process and support services.